A BC may have told Whoopi Goldberg to ease up on Trump but live on air. She turned up the heat. And the target was Donald Trump himself. On Thursday's electrifying episode of The View, Whoopi Goldberg delivered a performance that was nothing short of a masterclass in unapologetic commentary. With the studio lights blazing and the audience buzzing, she made one thing abundantly clear. She has no intention of backing down from her criticism of President Donald Trump, regardless of what a BC executives might prefer. Reports surfaced earlier this week that the network, under pressure from Disney's corporate leadership, urged Goldberg and her co-hosts Joy Behar, Sarah N., Sunny Hostin, Aina Navarro, and Alyssa Farah Griffin to tone down their relentless Trump bashing. But if the executives were hoping for a softer, less political view, they were in for a rude awakening. Instead of dialing back, Whoopi and her fellow hosts came out swinging, delivering a fiery segment that doubled down on their critiques and reaffirmed their commitment to calling out what they see as dangerous political rhetoric. The episode kicked off with the kind of energy that has made The View a daytime television juggernaut for nearly 3 decades. The hosts, seated around their iconic roundtable, wasted no time diving into the day's hottest topic: President Trump's recent Oval Office meeting with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. The meeting, which took place earlier in the week, had sparked widespread controversy after Trump raised the inflammatory and widely debunked claim of a so-called white genocide in South Africa. According to Trump, white farmers in the country are being systematically targeted and killed, a narrative rooted in far-right conspiracy theories that has been repeatedly discredited by experts and South African officials alike. Whoopi Goldberg, the show's longtime moderator, took the lead with a commanding presence that left no room for ambiguity. Her voice was sharp, her tone unflinching, and her exasperation palpable as she addressed Trump's claims head-on. "There's no white genocide, okay?" she declared, her words cutting through the studio like a blade. "There's not a genocide happening. There is crime, as there is all over the world, but it's not about killing off white people. This is just straight." She paused, catching herself just before an expletive slipped out, a moment that drew a ripple of laughter from the audience. "That was gas," she quipped, diffusing the tension with her trademark humor before returning to her point with renewed intensity. "This is just nonsense." Goldberg's critique went beyond debunking the conspiracy theory. She accused Trump of weaponizing the narrative to inflame racial tensions and pander to a specific subset of his base. "He's keeping his middle finger pointed at the black community," she said, her words dripping with disdain. She argued that Trump's focus on a fabricated crisis in South Africa was not only misleading but also a deliberate distraction from domestic issues and a way to stoke division. Drawing on her personal experiences, she added a layer of authenticity to her commentary. "I've been to South Africa. I've made movies there. I've sent Sunny Hostin's son to South Africa to talk to people I know who still live there. I can tell you there's no genocide happening." Her first-hand perspective underscored the absurdity of Trump's claims and lent weight to her assertion that the narrative was being used as a political cudgel. The discussion then took a sharp turn as Goldberg shifted her focus to another controversy: Trump's alleged acceptance of a luxury jet from Qatar. The jet, reportedly intended to serve as a new Air Force One during Trump's presidency and later be transferred to his presidential library, has raised eyebrows for potentially violating the U.S. Constitution's Emoluments Clause, which prohibits federal office holders from accepting gifts from foreign governments without congressional approval. Goldberg, never one to shy away from a dramatic flourish, reached into her pocket and pulled out her well-worn copy of the Constitution, holding it up for the cameras and the audience to see. "You're not supposed to have the plane," she exclaimed, her voice a mix of incredulity and righteous indignation. "I have the Constitution right here, and it says you're not supposed to take the plane." The moment was quintessential Whoopi, part performance, part principle. She used the prop to drive home her point that Trump's actions were not just ethically questionable but potentially illegal. The audience erupted in applause, and her co-hosts nodded in agreement, amplifying the sentiment. Sonny Hostin, a former prosecutor, chimed in to confirm the legal concerns, noting that the emoluments clause exists to prevent foreign influence over American officials. It's not just about the plane, Hostin said. It's about the precedent it sets. If he can accept this, what else is he going to take? Sarah N. added a national security angle, pointing out Qatar's controversial ties to certain groups and questioning how a foreign-gifted plane could be made secure for presidential use. I'm surprised he wants it for that reason alone. She remarked, the panel's discussion wasn't limited to these two issues. Joy Behar, known for her biting wit and no-nonsense delivery, took the opportunity to lay out what she called Trump's atrocities since beginning his second term in January 2025, with a list that could have doubled as a manifesto. Behar ticked off a series of policy moves that have sparked outrage among critics, slashing Medicaid funding, cutting federal support for cancer research, dismantling humanitarian aid programs, and proposing an end to birthright citizenship, a cornerstone of the 14th Amendment. This is what we're dealing with, Behar said, her voice rising with each point. He's not even been in office a year, and look at the damage he's trying to do. Behar's comments sparked a particularly heated exchange when she posed a pointed question to Goldberg. Don't you think when he lets these white Africans in, that's giving the middle finger to the black community? The question referenced Trump's reported plan to fast-track immigration for white South African farmers, a policy critics argue prioritizes one group over others, including refugees from countries like Haiti and Venezuela. Goldberg, however, offered a nuanced response. No, I don't, she said. Let me tell you why. I don't think so because that finger has never gone down. Her point was clear. Trump's actions, in her view, have consistently shown disregard for marginalized communities, making the South African policy just one part of a broader pattern. The episode's intensity was heightened by the backdrop of reported tensions between The View's hosts and ABC's leadership. According to multiple sources, including a detailed report from the Daily Beast, Disney CEO Bob Iger and ABC News President Alman Karamedovic recently met with the hosts and executive producer, Brian Teta, to urge a shift in the show's focus. The executives reportedly suggested that The View lean more heavily into celebrity interviews and lifestyle segments, content that has proven to draw high ratings in recent episodes. The directive came as Disney and ABC navigate a politically charged climate, with Trump's return to the White House following his 2024 election, victory prompting concerns about media scrutiny and potential regulatory backlash. One source quoted in the report claimed that Iger and Karamedovic were perturbed by the show's unrelenting anti-Trump stance and worried it could alienate viewers or invite unwanted attention from the administration. The hosts, however, were having none of it. Ana Navarro, a vocal critic of Trump and a self-described never-Trumper, reportedly led the charge in pushing back against the executive's suggestions. This is what our audience wants, Navarro is said to have argued, emphasizing that political commentary is a core part of The View's identity. Isn't it gonna look kind of bad if we're all of a sudden not talking about politics? The hosts reportedly dismissed the request as silly and made it clear they intended to keep doing their thing. Goldberg, in particular, seemed to address the executive pressure directly during the episode, weaving it into her commentary. People always want us to be respectful and talk about the stuff we talk about, she said, her tone laced with defiance. We can do all of that, but when you are blatantly giving the country the middle finger, that is blatant. You're not supposed to do that. The episode's unapologetic tone was a testament to The View's enduring appeal. Despite the reported pressure from ABC, the show remains a ratings powerhouse, ranking #1 among daytime network talk shows and news programs in the first quarter of 2025, according to The Wrap. Its success lies in its willingness to tackle controversial topics head-on, offering a platform for diverse perspectives, though often leaning left and fostering debates that resonate with viewers. The hosts' refusal to back down, even in the face of corporate pushback, underscores their commitment to their audience and their belief that political discourse is essential. especially in a polarized era. The segment drew to a close. The hosts turned their attention to the broader implications of Trump's actions. Alyssa Farah Griffin, a former Trump administration official turned critic, expressed concern about the message being sent to world leaders. Why would they continue to come to the White House if this is what they're walking into? She asked, referencing Trump's contentious interactions with figures like Ramaphosa and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Sunny Hostin added. A global perspective, noting that South Africa's president likely attended the meeting to secure a trade deal but was magnificent in handling Trump's ambush. The discussion highlighted the delicate balance of international diplomacy and the potential consequences of Trump's approach on America's global standing. For longtime viewers of The View, Thursday's episode was a reminder of why the show continues to captivate audiences. Whoopi Goldberg, with her blend of humor, gravitas, and unfiltered honesty, led a panel that refused to shy away from the issues that matter to them and their viewers. Joy Behar's sharp critiques, Sunny Hostin's legal insights, Sarah Ann's data-driven arguments, Aina Navarro's fiery passion, and Alyssa Farah Griffin's insider perspective created a dynamic conversation that was as informative as it was entertaining. Despite the reported pressure from ABC executives, the host made it clear they have no intention of softening their stance. For Donald Trump, the message was unmistakable. Whoopi Goldberg and her co-hosts are not lowering the volume anytime soon. The episode ended with a sense of defiance and resolve, as Goldberg reiterated her commitment to speaking truth to power. "We're not here to make everyone comfortable," she said, her eyes locking with the camera. "We're here to talk about what's real, what's happening, and what matters." As the audience roared with approval, it was clear that The View remains a force to be reckoned with, a platform unafraid to challenge authority, provoke thought, and spark conversation. In an era of uncertainty and division, that's a legacy worth fighting for.